Testing.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, that's good.
Good.
Oh. Squeaky chair.
Yeah. Just adjust yourself, stretch. That's it. That's just the chair going, if anybody's wondering.
Right, okay. Hello and welcome back to Driving Home.
Driving home.
I often think how many people that are listening to this are actually driving home as well.
Or to work. But if you're driving home...
But yeah, but you can't do it when you're driving to work. It's not called driving to work home.
Maybe we need 2 podcasts.
one going and one coming back.
I mean, there's not such a play on words then, is it?
No.
Carpedo.
We can't call it carped.
Oh.
I know you like torpedoes, Harry.
Yeah, I do, yeah. I think they're an
else
excellent weapon.
God. Let's move on, shall we? Right, now this one is about EVs, because I think when we went to Fully Charged Live a few weeks back, the most common question we got after people saying hello was, what's the best EV?
It felt a bit like we were what car?
And ultimately, it's an impossible question to answer because everyone has different requirements.
Opinions, aren't they? And as somebody once said, opinions like...
Well, yes.
Everyone's got one.
Like Carpedos.
Yep.
Ultimately, yeah, it's impossible. What's the best? I can't tell what's the best EV for you. There's a general consensus, I guess.
Yeah. Well, that's it. We could go, this is the best EV for you, and it's something that's massive, and they go, well, it's just me and my wife.
Yeah, it's too big.
Probably not that then.
Well, I don't have that much to spend.
Yeah.
Oh, the Taycan is the best EV.
Yeah, hands down the best one, in my opinion.
Yes. So I thought what we'd do is go through... Well, we'll go through everyone that's on sale.
No, because we could be here
time.
for some time. Should we go through
just the main ones?
The main ones. Should we go in backwards order from ones we've done recently?
There will be no order to this, although I do want to start in a specific place, because it's topical.
Not topical.
It might not be topical by the time this podcast goes out, and I didn't think of that. But basically, they've just announced that this will be available to UK customers. And it is, of course, the Citroen Ami.
Oh, I was hoping for the MG.
Oh, no, the Citroen Ami.
Even better.
I reckon £6,000, well, they do, to buy it outright.
Battery outright?
Yeah. So £6,000 for the car. If they do something like they do in France, £1,000 down and then like 50, like 60 quid a month.
Yeah,
like a phone.
It's like a phone, yeah.
So we're not going to spend a ton of time on all these. But if I said to you, Citroen Ami, I mean... clear usage
When
pattern.
can I buy one?
Yeah. And now I've sold the Twizy, I almost considered it, but ultimately I can't justify it.
No.
It's not got the... You know what, the
won't fit your... And even just a toy, it wouldn't even fit your usage pattern. No. You couldn't use it for work at all.
No, because the Twizy at least could go on the many dual carriageways we have and not be a liability. This only does 28.
It'd get you there and back.
Yeah. So I think it's a more of a city thing than the Twizy even. But it is just crackingly good fun.
I still think that, to make my mind up, I think we'd have to have an extended press car.
Yes, which they won't give us because they're all booked up for months, apparently, with all the press release. But I think it would be the perfect... I mean, if you worked within 10 miles to the same place, we work on site.
That or an electric mountain bike.
That, because in winter...
Exactly.
Yeah. Or even a scooter.
Yeah.
To be honest. I mean, you've got 2 seats, storage.
It had a lot of storage as well,
It's fully enclosed.
Yeah.
So, you're not going to get wet or anything. I mean, I won't class the heater as a heater. It just demisted the windscreen.
It was like dead man's breath, wasn't it?
Do you know, like when you put a hairdryer on and you forget to turn the heat on?
Yeah, it was like
that. It was that, effectively. Yeah. But you've got the place to put your phone. They even got pods designed for them.
Put your school bag as well.
For the speakers.
Yeah.
So
that with some sort of like really powerful speaker, it'd just be hilarious.
But ultimately, I think in it, like you say, for £6,000 for a completely brand new, I won't call it a car.
Warranted.
Yeah. I don't know what the warranty will be, actually. It's sold in France, of course. Coming to the UK because of popular demand. I think you can put your name down on them now.
I think a lot of people might have put that, I would want one of these.
And then don't. Yeah.
Do you know, that's going to be a good spot on the UK roads, isn't it?
Yeah, they're not going to sell a ton just because people will go, well, it's great fun, but I just don't see where it's going to be used in my life.
Do you think there could be a case for having these as do you know the bikes in London that you can pick up and put down?
The only thing that I would say no to that is that you can't cut through traffic. You can't filter.
Yeah, like you can with a bike or something.
So that it's like the Twizy, innit? You couldn't filter with it, otherwise it'd be brilliant.
They need to let you in bus lanes with it, don't they, really, to make that?
Yeah.
If you could get in a bus lane with it, just that, doesn't have to be all electric cars.
Yeah.
For this car, then I think say you could get a...
They do a cargo version as well, by the way.
Ooh.
That's good. That would have a lot of room, though, wouldn't it?
It was.
If you take
it
out the
was
second
roomy.
seat.
I remember how far the windscreen was. It felt like you're driving a bus.
Yeah, so if they use all that and they take out the second, it would be the size of a boot, probably.
Yeah, you could do like sandwich deliveries or something like that. Perfect for that, wouldn't it?
Well, yeah, maybe a local takeaway. But anyway, that's the Citroen now, mate. And great fun. Just can't see who would buy it outside of a city centre.
Yeah.
Right, so where should we go next? Should we stick with the controversial one next?
Go on then.
Well, when I say controversial, the one that the owners' clubs give us a little bit of stick for. Although Volkswagen PR themselves told me, because I've just told you which car. Volkswagen said, "Oh yeah, we watched your videos. We all thought they were quite funny."
Oh well, that's brilliant. Yeah,
and that's Volkswagen.
Of course, we're talking about the Skoda. No.
The ID3 and the ID4.
Let's talk about the 3 first.
So I'll say to you, ID3. What's the first thing?
I think that at the price we tested it at, which was it £32,000?
37.
Kidding me?
Mm-mm.
Wow. Right, at the price we tested it at.
And that was the list price for the launch of it. I think it was launched. Wow. It was a spec'd up one.
So the price we tested it at, not a chance it was worth anywhere near that.
Not
for
that
the
interior.
price you can get one now, if you are shopping around, definitely. It wasn't that bad car, it was just a bad car at that price.
Yeah, and it wasn't so much the car either, was it? It was the interior material quality.
But
it was really spacious.
Yeah. The exterior looks really good though. I see them going past now and they give them a second look.
Yeah, spacious interior.
Yeah.
Practical.
Yeah.
Looks decent on the outside. Yeah. Range, now they've got a lot of the software issues sorted out.
Yeah,
better.
Yeah. Given the price, the range ain't bad if you think about.
So ultimately, I think it's a crack. I mean, I know someone that's bought 2 of these for his company.
Wow.
And
Loser.
I told him where to buy them. He got someone to price match it. But basically, he's bought 2 of the base models. I think they're called the Life.
That's the one to go for.
Yeah. 52 kilowatt hour battery. 23.5 grand.
That's the thing. This is it. At that price, it's
a bargain.
I don't want to say it, but it does become the people's car.
Yeah, it's a bargain at that price, given the space. It's the size of a Passat.
I mean, the thing is, I think we could get one and just probably pay for it by doing Uber driving on a weekend.
Yeah, I would at that price. I can't remember. There won't be much spec on it, but at that price,
who cares?
I would have one as a daily.
Yeah.
Because it's the price of an MG.
Well, yeah, and and
the range probably similar as well, maybe slightly better. So that's the only thing we have.
Volkswagen, if you're a bit of a badge snob.
Well, yeah, I suppose
that won't bother me, but I see it bothering quite
decent
a lot of
warranty.
people.
And that's the thing, innit? People just saw our tomfoolery and thought that we hated the ID3. It's like no.
I think sometimes people don't watch, or they'll pick out the bits that they want to hear.
Or skip through it, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. And I'll get caught up on the fact that we said we really didn't like the arms on the chair.
Well, it was really cheap, wasn't it? Let's face it. No car that starts at any price should have them, let alone one that list price starts at 30 upwards.
I think if I did have one of them, I would be looking to see if the Mark 7 Golf seats fit.
Well, that's another good point, isn't it? Is that the Volkswagen range as a whole has gone backwards.
I know, it's almost like they've had to pay a big fine. But it's not even like they've gone for I tell you what, let's make the range carbon neutral, the interior.
Yeah, like the i3.
i3, or recyclable. Or maybe they haven't just made that a big thing.
No, it's cheap plastic.
Cheap plastic, yeah. I could understand it and I would appreciate it.
It's there for a reason.
If it's for a reason. And even if it looked crap, I'd be like, all right, well, fair enough. At least this is biodegradable.
When someone asks why you got a car interior like this, you can say, well, it's environmentally friendly.
Yeah, this is all resourced
fair enough.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. That's your compromise, isn't it? Exactly. But no, it's not. And now let's skip to the ID4, which much bigger car, which I think you summed up perfectly with that phrase of it's like a pot noodle with a sachet removed.
It is, yeah.
No flavour.
Yeah. It was like you got a colouring book and the only pens you had to colour it in were transparent.
Invisible ink.
Yeah, invisible ink, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, practical, massively spacious.
Yeah. Devoid of any personality.
Yeah. And with the massive discounts, not bad. But ultimately, the one thing that kills the ID4, for me personally, is the Skoda Enyaq, which is basically the same car.
A lot nicer looking.
Nice looking interior as well. Yeah. Better material.
Well, it's like when we sat inside and you went, what do you think the interior trim level is on this?
Yeah.
I'm like, well, it's not the base model. No, this is the base. This model, is what it comes with as a very basic. This is it.
It trumps. Skoda should never trump Volkswagen for interior material quality. Never. And when we're not saying the build of the Volkswagen wasn't good, they're screwed together extremely.
Yeah.
It was just cheap plastic, that's all.
It's just a letdown, isn't it, really? When you think that... I don't know. I think Volkswagen is, in my mind, still almost a premium sort of product.
A bit behind BMWs and that.
But premium. I won't compare a Volkswagen to a Ford.
It's above a Ford.
It's above a Ford. It's above a Vauxhall. Maybe that's more traditionally, but I would always place them slightly above them, slightly below the likes of BMW and Audi.
Yeah, that's what I would as well.
No, your place, Volkswagen, is somewhere in between.
Yeah, Audi are up there, you're not.
Yeah.
But, I mean, didn't you say, I was talking to someone said I watched a review from several places of a Golf R.
Oh, yeah.
And they were going, this is a fantastic car. What the hell have they done with the interior?
Yeah. Look at the seats.
Yeah. So it's a Volkswagen thing, isn't it?
I don't mean maybe the Mark 8 Golf will, this is moving a bit of track from what we're talking about, but even the way it looks, the front bumper on the Mark 8 Golf looks like they forgot to put bits on.
Yeah, the R now for me doesn't stand out at all from the standard models.
It's just a boring car now. I think it's
which there's a place for, but not at that price bracket.
No,
which is why
price.
Ultimately we said at that price it was just ridiculous.
Exactly. And I think now with some decent deals around, if you do need a really big car, then have a look at one. But look at Skoda. Yeah.
Well, I think that's the thing that you shouldn't.
Unless you get a really good deal on the Volkswagen, then go for the ID4.
Well, I guess, but you shouldn't have to get a really good deal. That for me means that no one ever plays close to the list price. So we were right in what we originally said, where this is overpriced.
Yeah,
because we have to go for the list price. Yeah. That's what the press people tell us. That's before launch. So you don't know what the discounts might be.
I think the thing as well is I don't want to blow our own trumpet, but we get to drive a lot of vehicles at different price brackets, and you get to expect, what you're going to expect for that price. And the ID3 and 4 at that price just seemed a little too steep. Not even a little too, a lot.
But a 23.5, 25 even.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
I think, did we say with the ID3 though, get the basic one?
Yeah,
get the basic one.
It's not a 40 grand car, is it?
No. It's almost like speccing a Polo or a Golf and just throwing everything at it. Yeah. You're missing the point of it.
Yeah.
It's a family car. Just tick the very basics that you need. Parking sensors if you need to. Something like that.
There's a couple of things heated seats.
Heated seats, definitely.
And parking sensors, and that's fine. Yeah, good for your back. All right, let's stick with Volkswagen then.
Okay.
Up.
Oh.
Electric
it's
up,
funny
of course.
You should say this. Last night, I was looking how much you could lease one for. And I think I found somewhere online, I think it's £165 down, £165 a year. Over 3 or 4 years, yeah.
A month, not a year.
Yeah. Sorry, a year. A month, yeah. Over 3 or 4 years. So you could pick either for around the same price. 10,000 miles.
But in terms of the car, I mean, that's the affordable. And I think it is it the cheapest? Well, no, the Seat Mii is the cheapest, so it's the same car.
It's difficult to put. I was going to say, I think it's probably my second favourite electric car I've driven. I'm not saying it's the second best.
No.
But I think it's my second.
Old school.
Yeah.
And it had a key. It felt like a car rather than you were a passenger even as a driver.
It felt like your first fun car.
Yeah, and it had a bit of poke.
Oh yeah. It did.
Was it not to 3040? Was the same as the GTI version because of the electric torque?
It was off, wasn't it, from the lights, and it was quite funny. And I think the fact that the wheels are in the. I mean, you look at it they literally are the corners of the car. Meant it was on rails.
And it's well packaged, isn't it? I mean, the people have said the Up, even Top Gear years ago said it's the best small car. Well, I mean...
Look at the boot.
The boot's tiny from the back, and then you open it and you go, where's that space come from? It's huge. It's boot for the size of the car.
It's
you would
crazy.
Get 4 people in, wouldn't you, on short journeys as well?
Oh, yeah. You get 7 people doing the McDonald's drive-thru.
It's a perfect unicar.
It is. And also, it's economical.
I would seriously... given the value and the cost and the range, which was about 140 miles, wasn't it? Consider that as a replacement for the Mini in terms of a second EV. It wouldn't have the fun the Mini does, and I wouldn't do it for that reason, but I would own that car and be happy with it.
It's funny you say that, because I was thinking, well, if I do get rid of my Mini and I do keep my other car, then I'd be wanting something that's cheaper to run. So I was looking at Zoes, looking at electric Mini. I thought, well, the Zoe, maybe.
A lot of people like them.
The Mini's very expensive for what you're getting, considering the miles it does.
You'd have to spec up the car for them. That's true with the Mini. The list price is, 25.5, I think.
Yeah.
but you're going to be spending 28
well, you're looking
to get the one that we want, to get the spec we have in our cars.
Well, you're looking at 350 quid down, 350 quid a month for the Mini.
At least.
Yeah, at least, yeah.
And that's going
plus
to miss a few specs, isn't it? Yeah.
So I think you could have nearly the same amount of fun going a lot slower in the up.
It's
so
the MX...
I would think if I buy an electric car, for me at the moment, it would be, just given the prices and Zoe and up.
And it is the sort of car that, it's like the MX-5 thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
How many people do you know say, "Oh, I'll get an MX-5 if you want a convertible"?
Yeah.
Oh, it's too slow. Oh no, seriously, just get one.
Yeah. You'll just be ringing it out everywhere.
Yeah, and this is the same thing.
Yeah.
It was just so much fun. It was practical. I like the fact it had a gear lever. Even though it's an automatic, it was in the same place. It had a key that you put in and turned.
Yeah, it had dials.
Dials, for your range instead of digital everything.
What I liked about it is you could drive it flat out almost most of the time.
Yeah, and one thing that we didn't do with it, actually, because it was a press car. Do you know the phone holder?
Oh, yeah.
So basically, it turns your phone into sat-nav.
Well, no. I think if you've got the most modern in-car entertainment.
But it's even better than that. What I didn't realise, or we didn't plumb it in properly, you get in our case, the Skoda app or the Volkswagen app. It then links to the car, so you can control like the air conditioning and various other things.
Wow.
It displays it on your phone by getting it from the car via Bluetooth. So it's an infotainment system that's in your pocket.
With the money you've saved by getting an up, you could buy a second phone on contract with a data-only SIM in it and just stick it in the tablet. You've got a 7 or 8 inch infotainment system there.
But no, in terms of a car, every time I got in it, we must have a big smile on your face, wasn't it? And I think that's what a lot of EVs are missing out on.
Yeah.
Great fun. And so that would be the Seat Me would come under the same banner.
Yeah.
The Citigo's no longer sold.
Which is a massive shame.
But that's ultra rare. I think they sold, someone said to me once, 450 they sold.
Oh, that's going to be a collector's item, isn't it?
And now they don't longer sell it for some really bizarre reason. Yeah. So should we stick with this sort of price bracket then? And look at the MGs? NGZS first then.
Yeah, fantastic
the SUV
car.
one.
Yeah. Build quality is a lot better than what you'd expect.
Yep.
A lot of people go, oh, it's Chinese. No, it's a nice car.
Just like your phone's Chinese. Yeah. Everything PPE-wise that you wear is Chinese. Everything in your house.
Chinese, yeah. yeah, exactly.
Polestar 2's Chinese. Volvo's Chinese.
Yeah. Crispy Duck. Chinese. No, it seems well put together. Panel gaps look all right. I've not driven...
Panel gaps are better than Tesla.
Well, yeah. I've not driven that car yet, but... I'd have
My brother owns one.
Yeah, well.
And we were talking about it today, before you arrived, actually, about, because he does a lot of miles, when to change it, because don't let it get too high miles. And, he gets various stuff for work, so he can afford to change it if he wanted to. But it's like, well, there's no around.
You're just buying the same thing.
Yeah, basically. I'll be getting the
bigger
same
battery version of it.
I think that's on its way as well, to be fair. But yeah, in terms of, it's one of those, isn't it? Is it as good as like an e-Niro? Not at all.
Well, it's not, but
it's 10 grand cheaper.
Yeah, exactly.
Ish.
Yeah.
And you cannot come close to that good value.
I think if you're wanting something of that size that sits a bit off the ground and you're just doing small commuting, taking the kids to school, it could become a family car. I think for that price.
It's the size of an e-Niro, as in literally. It's about a centimetre bigger.
Well, that makes all the difference, I've been told.
Well, I wouldn't know.
No need to die.
Dropped off.
Yep.
Moving on. So MG5 then. And bear in mind there's 2 versions now, a long range and a normal range version.
I think that it's one of those cars that looks better with my glasses off. The facelift version I've seen online looks brilliant. It looks like, they say it looks brilliant. It looks more like a European car.
Yeah. But that's not out yet and we don't know when it's coming. Probably next year-ish.
I'd say the look of the current one, it does look like a 10-year-old Daewoo.
Passat, a lot of people said online. Looks like a 2000 to 2010 Passat.
The interior
estate.
The rear seats look... it's for the price, you grumble, but I'm going to grumble. The seats inside look a little bit American for me.
Like you're sitting in someone's settee.
Yeah.
But they were comfortable, sportive enough. Someone at work has bought one.
Yeah.
And that was his first EV. He
loves it.
He's already said, I'm not going back to a petrol car. And with the discounts that you can get, you're looking at 22 and a half, I think, for the MG5, and 25 I've seen the brand new, so it's probably going to get cheaper. The long range battery version, which we're getting in a month or two.
Yeah.
So it like you said, it's the value. It's not just Aldi cheaper, it's like 2/3 the price of its nearest rival.
I can see it's going to be one of those cars that maybe ends up being like the original Octavia, where it does become the perfect taxi. and every Octavia or Toyota Avensis that goes past you try and flag down.
Well, yeah, I mean, and it's an estate.
It's a estate, yeah.
There's no other electric vehicle estate on the market, I can think. No, is there any price there?
There is, yeah. It's the Taycan.
Gran Turismo.
Yeah.
Well, all right then.
I think we need to get in touch with Porsche and MG and compare them. We'll do it as a practical test.
Yeah.
We'll take them both to IKEA.
But no.
Can we get a dog in the back of both of them?
Yeah, there is no estate, is there?
There's not, no.
But we're in a world of SUVs, though, aren't we?
We're drowned in SUVs.
And crossovers. You know what?
I'd give I'd have an SUV over a crossover any day.
Well, let's talk about crossover then, shall we?
Okay.
One that I would own, although price and that, there's other cars I would get preferred, but I really liked it, and I bet you can tell me the single thing that makes me like it: the Kia Soul EV.
I wonder if it would be the earthquake that's in the boot.
Yes. What a sound system that had.
It's been designed by somebody who got reading Max Power magazines.
Yes. I mean, we put the usual song on, didn't we? And what I loved about it is, even better than the high-end Meridian stuff that you get like your Jaguar, it was loud. The wing mirror, I remember, was vibrating with the bass in, but it still was crystal clear. It didn't distort at all.
Yeah. It was like a festival sound system, in that you can hear just everything vibrate around it, but it's still crystal clear.
Yeah, and that alone made me look like the car. I mean, I still think the e-Nero makes more sense and logical.
Yeah.
But the bonkers natures of that. I mean, remember when we did the standing start, and I turned off traction control. Yeah.
That was it was literally a cloud of smoke.
I mean, it's got over 200 brake horsepower.
Yeah.
It's
all at once.
I think it looks good from the front, especially. It's got a really nice appearance as
looks a bit like the Japanese sort of compact K car things, but a bit bigger, doesn't it?
Yeah. And we drove up to Scotland around the North Coast 500 back again in it.
Just as if we'd driven
the range is phenomenal.
Yeah.
200 now, because apparently they've tweaked them a bit since we had it. Wow. 270 real world miles.
So
on a motorway journey.
Over 300.
If you tried hard enough, absolutely. Wow. So even in winter, you're looking at probably 240 real world winter miles.
That's brilliant.
And that's a motorway journey, not around town.
That's more than my second car probably do to a tank.
It's more than my Tesla.
Yeah, that is. I mean, that's. Yeah, when you consider the running gear, and what else it's in as well, it's.
And they're going for 34 grand.
Wow. That just seemed like.
I think there's just one model of them.
Yeah, that just seemed like a bit of a. I mean, I guess it's with pricing of other vehicles going up, but that just seemed like a bit of a Billy bargain for what you get.
Yeah.
Just one trim level.
I think so, yeah.
The kitchen sink trim.
And when we got it, there was only one now. They might have a different one now, but as far as I know, it was just like.
It didn't have the lights inside, though, did it? Which we did read in the.
Oh, in America they do, yeah. It was like disco lights or something.
I mean, that's what you want. That's perfect, isn't it? It came with optional smoke machine as well.
Well, let's face it, you've got a full electric vehicle which can take care of its own 12-volt battery.
Yeah.
With a mega sound system. That's basically, like you say, it's a portable festival.
It is, yeah. All it's missing is it might even have a line level input to put your decks in. Drive it into a field, have a festival, get off.
Whilst we're on the subject, and whilst we're getting one in the next, again, month or two, because we thought, this was the very first press car I ever got.
It was, wasn't it?
Kia e-Nero.
Yeah.
And that was the launch version at the time. Now they've got the Kia. Ironically, the launch version was about 32 grand.
Yeah.
And that was the fully spec'd one.
Yeah.
Now they're like 39 for the fully. They've got the Kia 2, which is the low spec, for about 32 and a half. So whoever got that at launch, pre-ordered
got an absolute
bag. You get your money back now.
Yeah.
A couple of years later. So again, it has the range of the Soul. It's got the same power.
Slightly bigger.
It's bigger. It's got it's a really good SUV family car. And I really liked it.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, for me, it had enough power. The handling was it was really good for the size of the vehicle.
Yeah,
we were hustling it on the North Coast 500, and it just felt planted.
We took that up there as well, didn't we?
Yeah, it just felt planted. It were a good drive. It was one of those vehicles where when I was driving it, I didn't want to like it as much as I did, and by the end I was going, I wonder if I could actually
how much of these?
Yeah.
It's almost a good all-rounder, isn't it? Because it's got a bit of everything.
Yeah.
So, yeah, again.
So it's the car that I recommend to people when they go, I'm after an EV.
With a family.
Got a family, a couple of kids, dog.
Need the range.
Yeah, exactly. Look at this. This is probably the one that you need to go for this sort of price. Of a Skoda now, of course.
Well, similar price.
I'd be going over the e-Niro every day.
Oh yeah, considering that you're going to get a much bigger range.
And it just
the Enyaq's bigger. That's its trump card. As in, if you had
top trump, you're playing top trumps.
Yeah, well, if you had a family of 4, certainly if they're a bit grown up and you're going camping, that you probably have to go for the Enyaq. But yeah,
you wish you had a small family and could go for the e-Niro.
Yeah, ultimately. Right, shall we go along that list you got in front of you now? So top right, because there's no point in doing the XC40 because that hasn't gone out yet. People could watch the video for that.
Well, we could just give it. Should we just nail it on really quickly to the end of this one?
Well, the Polestar 2 is the same car.
So Polestar 2,
good looks.
Yeah, I like the look of it. It looks a bit like a Barbie car, and the wheels are massive. But I do like the look of it. I don't.
Perfect estate car that would be, don't it? It has the lines where the estate would be better looking.
They missed a trick with it, didn't they? I think for me, they've made it into a coupe, and they've made it less practical to make it cooler. But in real terms,
an SUV.
Yeah, to make it cooler to the people it's sort of marketed at, I think an estate. We all know that as you get older, you do start having a bit of a glance for estates, don't you?
Well, look at all the RS4s, RS6s. They don't do a hatch version of them, do they?
Well, they did in some of them, but I don't think they do now.
But predominantly, that's what they're known for. It's a fast estate. What do they call it? A fastback?
Sport wagon,
whatever.
Something.
Everyone's got a new name for it. But ultimately, a Polestar 2 estate, I think, would be a bigger seller than that. Forgetting the competition pack or the performance pack with the stupid suspension. Yeah,
which just felt like somebody took the chucks out for delivery. It did feel like it was
too hard.
It was, yeah. On the track, it might be perfect.
Yeah, but it had adjustable suspension. You could only adjust by getting the car lifted up and going underneath with a spanner and adjusting it.
I'm not 22 anymore with coilovers.
But what modern car does that?
I did see something else the other day.
But they're nearly all electronic, aren't they?
Yeah, they are, yeah. And basically, it's going back to the, your coilover days where you're clicking the coilover up and down for just your hide right. Something that you shouldn't be able to do.
Your hide right.
Right. Hide right. There you go. But yeah, it just seems...
Without that, comfortable.
Yeah. I think if we'd tested... It'd be nice to test that and just a Bogo standard one.
Every press car had that pack on it.
Oh... And also, I guess it's one of those things, when someone tells you that a film's brilliant.
$5,000 as well for a press pack.
And someone say, you gotta watch this film, it's the best film I've ever seen. And everyone said that about the Polestar 2. Oh, it's brilliant, it's really sporty, it really handles well around corners. No, it feels like you're driving 2 and a bit ton round the corner.
2.3 tons.
Yeah, and it felt it.
And the range, certainly when we did it...
a couple of 100 miles, wasn't it?
No, less.
Less than that,
170 out of the bigger batch of it. Because it's so heavy.
Yeah.
And relatively inefficient. It
might
be slightly better now, but ultimately, we compared it against the long-range Model 3, which it pretty much is almost direct comparison to. And technically speaking, the Model 3 is just light years ahead of it. I mean, the interior build quality is a different question.
Oh, yeah.
And the looks and all that. So, but in terms of the EV-ness of
the spec.
Yeah.
If you're looking at the technical spec of it.
Yeah. It was quicker. There was no comparison. So
I guess you buy that as like, it's the antidote to Tesla. I don't like Tesla.
It's an anti-Tesla car, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I'm buying that because it's different.
But the next version is the one I'm interested in, because that is an XC40. Even they didn't... Yeah. They said it was an SUV with sports saloon imaginings.
I was trying to imaginings, but I couldn't.
And it was an SUV that had just basically been chopped down. It like someone had lowered the SUV, made the roof a bit shorter, but it's still an SUV.
Again, it was like somebody, like back in the 90s where somebody stuck a massive body kit on something and did something terrible with the suspension. Yeah. I think they went to work for Polestar and did the same there.
Only they've got a big budget now, so it looks good.
Yeah.
I would say, is that form over function then in EV world? I mean, it's superbly built. And to have a go at the people who have a go at the MG Chinese brands, it literally says made in China stamped on it. So there's no problems there.
I think for me, it's about making an impact, isn't it?
It's a fashion statement.
It is, and that's exactly what it is.
It's for people who go to them shops and buy £200 lamp shades.
Oh, yeah.
Or whatever. It would buy an old piece of furniture because it's shabby chic.
Yeah. So God, that's falling to pieces. It's got like a hole in the arm. No, it's shabby chic. It's how it's meant to look. Oh, you should come round my house. I've got tons of it.
It's that Harry Enfield thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I saw you coming.
Yeah. Oh yes, yeah.
But I don't.
I would have one.
Yeah, I'd happily have.
It'd be a good company car, I think.
I think that's it. If it's a company car, brilliant. If it's my own money, no.
Right. Well, let's move on to the
XC40.
All right.
Really quickly. It's basically a Polestar 2, but it's more practical.
Yeah. But equally as bonkers.
It feels more mental. Just
because it's an XC40 tallest SUV that does not 4.7 seconds.
If you were at the traffic lights with, I even say it's with like an R8 or something like that, you'd probably surprise them.
You beat it, I reckon, up to the 30-40.
Oh, easily, yeah.
But yeah,
they just look hilarious.
And we had I won't say what, but we had a controversial, which would you go for, Polestar or XC40? And same car.
Yeah, and we didn't, should we tell them which one we did? Or do you have to watch
we'll just say we differed. Our opinions differed.
Yeah, and we've not shared a bed since.
Well, no, last time we did, we were in a van.
Did it?
Did it?
Let's move on.
Okay. All right.
Should we do that now?
Yes. Yeah. Let's do it. Porsche Taycan.
I think probably one of the best cars. We haven't, if not the best car.
Because of COVID, we didn't get the Audi e-tron GT, which is the same car but with an Audi badge.
Yeah.
Although with their flavour.
Yeah.
Meant to be very good. That aside, so we'll sweep that aside for a second. That is the best electric vehicle money can buy right now.
Well, yeah, I dare say.
I mean, it's expensive. It should be.
Well, yeah.
But
value for, I think the thing is, value like for money wise, it was expensive, but it did feel like it was worth every penny of that.
I mean, the fit, finish, the speed,
the specialness, though. It made you feel special.
Yeah, exactly. And it drove just like every other Porsche.
Yeah,
which is amazing given it's electric.
And it was a no compromise approach to a vehicle, wasn't it? EV or not.
And for those that are thinking, it's Porsche, not Porsche.
No, it is Porsche.
The head guy at Porsche headquarters always said Porsche.
Yeah.
So that's why.
Is it a Porsche or a Porsche? It's a Porsche. All right, it's a Porsche.
It's a Porsche. Yeah. I've always wondered that for years. I've never. Everyone had a different opinion.
Exactly.
I'll believe them.
Yeah.
It was the head of PR.
He basically that was his job.
So no, again,
he did leave laughing.
Yeah, that's true.
Idiots.
Now, I think that it's a smile in your face car, and in the Cross Turismo firm, the estate, if you will.
It's the perfect
better looking.
Daddy cool car,
It's better looking the estate version, I think.
I do, yeah. I think the same to be said with a lot of high performance estates, isn't it? It's Saloon Estate.
And now they've got the rear wheel drive 70 grand version.
Oh, cheap version.
Yeah. But that's going to be fun, isn't it?
I would really like to test one of those just to see, because I think that is all the Taycan that most people need.
Oh, that was so ridiculously quick. You could never possibly hope to use 50% of it on the roads.
It was almost painful, wasn't it?
Yeah, you couldn't use it on the roads, could you, say?
No, and we nearly did.
You would kill yourself.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it couldn't handle it, but you would need to be almost a racing driver.
Yeah.
To come close to, it's like anything like the RS4s and 6s. You can't use them either, can you?
We were just coming out of the Porsche Reading Centre, and there's a bit of a dual carriageway there. And just getting up to speed limit there, it was like somebody had grabbed the horizon and just shoved it in his face. It was like, oh, we're here.
Yeah. And I know...
Too fast for the road, I think, is probably the best way to sum it up.
Yeah. But unlike the Tesla performance stuff, that can do it around a corner.
It did feel, it did feel like every other Porsche, didn't it? It just felt...
And it had the options list of a Porsche too.
You could buy a small house, couldn't you, for some of the options?
You could buy you could buy a Kia Soul with the options list.
Yeah.
And the one we had, I think had 25 grand worth of options on it. Wow.
Yeah. Right, let's move on then.
To almost a polar opposite, but a mini favourite of ours.
Which one's that? We're doing this order, right? Yeah, the Citroen EC4.
Of which we are getting hold of one in Scotland for the EV Rally of Scotland.
It was one of those vehicles I looked at from the outside and I went, yeah.
It's a Citroen.
Yeah, looks a bit like corduroy trousers.
Yeah. I mean, it looks different, but it does look like a Citroen, which some people like, some people don't. But then we drove it and thought, well, the interior is all right.
Yeah.
You know, reasonable price bracket, given the Stellantis group sort of thing. And then we realised, because the guy said beforehand, but you kind of tune out the spiel, don't you? Oh, well, we've concentrated on the comfort on this and the extra sound deadening compared to its competitors.
You don't want to flavour the review in any way, do you? It's like, look, I just want to get in it and drive it.
Yeah. But
it was right.
It was right. Yeah, they have concentrated on the comfort. They have concentrated on the anti-vibration stuff.
Which may be a disappointment to some people, I don't know.
But it was.
It was like driving, like a cloud, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It really was. And it was one of those vehicles, I was sat in the passenger seat because you were driving it first, and I did think it was a little bit boring, but when I got to drive it, I was like, oh, it's actually quite tuned in.
Yeah.
The steering felt really good. It just felt like a nice place to be.
I think my favourite thing about it as well is that it shares its stuff with the Corsa E, the E208.
Oh, it's the same stuff, different.
But that has a USP, a unique selling point of its comfort.
Which we need. When there's all these companies churning out the same thing with a different badge on.
Clones.
They need to have something that's different. Yeah. And that for me is perfect. When we were going over speed bumps, and if you had a coffee on your knee, it wouldn't have moved, would it?
No.
It was perfect. And for the price as well. If you want something that's incredibly comfortable.
Yeah, because it's bigger than the 208 and so forth.
Yeah.
It's a bigger car than that. But again, they said this is what we designed it for, and that's what it did it.
And it did.
And I think that leads me to another one that does that, which we're skipping ahead a bit here. The Mini. Gets a lot of stick.
Yeah.
And we said we probably preferred. Yeah, well, we won't go for a Mini because it'd be too expensive. But ultimately, I love what they did with the electric Mini because they're stuck to the guns.
Yeah. This is what a Mini should be. It should be light, fun, fast.
Yes.
And that's what they've done.
Yeah, we can't put any more batteries in it because it won't be light enough. It will compromise.
On one of the things that it has to be.
Yes. So that's the range it's got to have until technology in the platform gets replaced. And it is, for all intents and purposes, a Mini to drive, isn't it?
Yeah, which is what you want, isn't it?
Yes. And I think a lot of people don't get that.
God, well, I'm not going. That's only got 100 miles on it. Well, how many days do you do? I mean, maybe there's a couple of people listening go, I do more than 100 miles a day. But how many people do more than 100 miles in a day?
But even then, you're not going to get that as an only car, are you?
No.
And I think most people who buy a brand new Mini don't get it as an only car.
No, you'd have something else as well.
Yeah. So therefore, it makes perfect sense. And given how many they seem to be selling, because they're all over.
Oh yeah, they're not short, are they?
No. So when you look at how many Mini electrics you've seen on the road, and then how many Honda E's you've seen, I saw one today actually.
I've seen two in total.
Ever.
Yeah, and I think one was where we live, and the other one I think was going down fully charged.
Well, yeah, which is not surprising.
Yeah, which is not surprising, but that's ever.
Yeah, I saw one today, believe it or not. No, sorry, yesterday, and that was the first time I've seen one on the wild outside of fully charged.
Wow.
Which, I mean, similar price to the Mini.
Mini or Honda E?
I think because I've already owned a Mini for so long, I would probably go for the Honda E to be different.
I would have said...
But I think I'd enjoy the Mini more.
Yeah. Until recently, I would have said probably Mini, but given that I do like something that's a bit different, I think it'd be really difficult for me to choose between the two.
I've got a good story about that. I was talking to my brother, as I said earlier, and they were driving along. He's got his EV, of course.
Yeah.
And it was him and his wife, and they saw a blue Honda E.
All right.
And his missus went, "What is that? That is the ugliest car I've ever seen. That is vile. I never want one."
I hope he pulled over and made a walk home.
No. I went, "Oh, it's Honda E." Fast forward a few weeks. I think it was a few weeks. She went, that's that. I want one of them. What is it? He says, "That's the gunmetal grey version of the ugliest car in the world." All for the sake of a colour.
Yeah.
And I think that's it, isn't it? It's so different.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
That's its USP.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't incredibly fast when we drove it. It wasn't
quick enough.
Turning circle though.
Rear-wheel drive.
Yeah.
50-50 weight distribution.
Yeah.
Solid interior. Solid interior.
It was, wasn't it? And the fact that you could put an aquarium on as the screensaver for
the HDMI input.
Yeah, and the plug.
And plugs. Basically, you could plug a console into that car
and play
on. Which we think, well, when would I do that? Camping.
Yeah.
You could literally watch something by plugging it into the car.
If I had one, I would go and take my Xbox into the car outside just because I could.
Into the woods.
It's playing in the middle of nowhere. And what would I play? I play a driving game.
Yeah. So no, I wouldn't get one because I think they're not overpriced because clearly, they are overpriced for me.
Yeah.
But
It's just
Honda said we are doing this for the city only. Yeah. It's going to have a low range, tight turning circle, small, good engineering. Yeah. It's a bespoke platform for that only. That's its USP.
And for me, brilliant. Ticks lots of boxes. That
not like I said, there are too many clones.
Yeah,
there's nothing like that. Yeah. Which is why I appreciate
breath of fresh air in a room full of farts.
Is that's what you said?
Yep.
So yes, I love that. So right, we'll go down the list from left to right and going down, I guess. So staying on the Stellantis group, I guess.
208.
The E208. That for me, best looking small hatchback.
In the yellow.
Yeah, but even in a couple of other colours as well. But I would say overall, best looking small hatchback, not just in the electric car world.
No, I think
better looking than Fiesta, better looking than Corsa, better looking than
we've said this a few times.
Zoe even.
I think Peugeot are on the game at the moment, aren't they? There's nothing else. Peugeot seem to fall in and out of love with cars, don't they? They look at the early cars that they made. Fantastic. You go to 306 GTI 6 and the Rally. Yeah. Fantastic cars. And then they just went into like a...
Well, like the Top Gear sketch.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the perfect car for the imperfect driver. And now they've got the mojo back.
They have, yeah. They're doing cars that look amazing, drive well, reasonably priced.
Good discounts on them.
Yeah.
I mean, I would go for that over... Well, we might as well mention its stablemate now, the Corsa E. Yeah. I would go for that just because it looks better. It's identical underneath.
Unless it was a massive financial...
I have seen some cracking deals on the Corsa E.
I did yesterday. It was almost like they were trying to give them away.
I saw one last August, brand new, just before September. So I'm presuming they were like, we've got two of these. And they were brand new, but there was like 4 days before September.
Right.
So they were clearly needing to hit it. 21.5 grand.
Wow.
For a Corsa E that should have been 28. Well, 25, 24 in reality because of the discounts, but...
I'd be looking at one of them.
That's like, I don't care what it looks like at that price.
No.
But if there were, all things being equal, I would go for the E208.
Just because it looks a better car.
Yeah, and if you needed to step up to the Mokka or the E2008, I would still go for the E2008.
Yeah. The Mokka's not a bad car though, is it?
I just think it looks nicer than the E2. It's the same thing inside. So
I mean, the thing with the Mokka is I really wanted to hate that car because I hate Mokkas. And I drove it and I thought, actually, maybe it was just the colour we had it in.
The colour suited it, didn't it?
Yeah, that green. But yeah, I was like, this is actually all right.
Yeah, I would go for the E2008 only. And it's nothing to do with the fact that Peugeot flew me out to the south of France to launch it there. I mean, that's no bearing on that opinion at all.
But if they want to keep a good rating on
it's been a couple of years now, so I'm waning.
Well, the thing is, if you forget, don't you? It's quite quick to forget.
Forget what?
Exactly.
Where we're next then?
We'll
skip the FEVs. We'll stick with FEVs. And we'll skip the vans as well, I think.
We've done the
we've done the Citigo already. Oh, the Zoe, the current Zoe, which will be getting replaced within the next 2 years by the Renault 5,
which looks amazing.
That looks amazing. Which apparently will start 18.5 grand upwards.
Wow! I mean, if it looks anything like
apparently it will. Obviously, without the
it does remind me a little bit of the Honda E.
Yeah.
And I guess when it comes out, we'll have to actually no, the Honda E did have something that looked that wacky this long ago.
Yeah.
So really? Yeah.
But no, the Zoe for me is the best. It's one of the best value.
Yeah, and especially if you look around at some lease deals and stuff like that, it's good.
And now the CCS is standard because only I think they said 15 or 20% of people were stupid enough to spec it without CCS.
Yeah, so they just made it standard.
But even then, the only downside to that, which is why I would probably choose the 208 clones over this, is because it will only charge up to 50 kilowatts. Now, that's not a big deal for the most part, but when you go on a long journey, having that extra 20 or 30, and you do, because you'll get 40 on a 50 and you'll get 60, 65 on a...
It's like broadband, isn't it?
I
always think it's like broadband.
It knocks 20 minutes off the charge time.
Yeah. If you're downloading a large file and you've got, a connection that's twice as fast as it, it's noticeable. You're going, all right, this is really working for me.
And they're about the same price.
Yeah.
Although the Zoe will probably do about 30 miles, maybe 40 miles more than those.
Wow.
But it is quite narrow. It's getting old in the tooth a bit. But everyone loves someone that's bought one though.
Yeah. That's the thing. Maybe being an older car, I wonder if the chassis just feels a little bit...
Well, you can't move the seat up or down.
Yeah, stuff like that. Isn't it?
Yeah, it's little things in it that make the difference, and it felt a bit narrow to me. They've done a really good facelift job, which is basically barely changing.
Yeah.
And the interior is a lot nicer. Again, I would have that for pure value's sake.
Yeah,
and you will get over 200 miles out of that.
which is
maybe not in winter, but
in
summer. You will certainly in summer. Which out of a car
Yeah.
you can get for 23-4 grand if you shop around.
Perfect.
There's not really much that can beat it.
No, as a package.
No. Right.
Do we do the Tesla?
Yeah, why not? So the Model 3, it's one of those where the package beats everything, but not the car.
Yeah.
And obviously, I own a Model 3. For me, if it wasn't for the supercharger network, I'd have probably got something else now, because I think the car's really good.
Yeah.
It's comfortable. I like tech.
Yeah.
So and it's
comfortable.
quick.
It's practical. It's quick.
It's very fast.
I mean,
I've got the standard range, just so everyone knows.
Poverty spec.
Poverty spec one, yeah. That's what I like about it. Which colour do you want it in?
Good. It reminds me of old-fashioned Skoda. Oh, Octavia VRS. All right, here's the colours, and would you like an estate or not?
Yeah. And I like the fact there isn't a ton of options. What interior, what colour do you want, and do you want a tow bar?
Surely that's enough.
Well, yeah.
You just give it stuff, don't you? This is what it has.
How many? I think Volkswagen on the ID3 had something like 7 trim levels. Wow. It's unnecessary.
Yeah.
How is there 7 different type of people out there that think, well, actually, I'm wanting one of these?
I think that all this changed in the 90s. I think the 90s ruined cars. Before you had a couple of trim levels, didn't you? And then you got to a point. You had the CL, and then the GTI.
But you did have different engines, didn't you? You had 1.4, 1.6, and 1.8, and a 2 litre.
And actually, they all were different engines, weren't they? It's not like nowadays where you get like a 320, a 328, or whatever, and it's the same engine with a different tune,
different map.
Yeah, no. Back then, it was a different engine completely. But no, I think it's a good vehicle. Panel gaps aside, it's reasonably.
Well, you can sort that yourself, and not all of them. Apparently, the Chinese-made ones are better.
People get their hands cut off if they
Well, I think as a car, it's. Would you say very good?
I think as a package, is it?
Forget the package.
All right, as a vehicle, as a car, yeah.
I mean, it's big.
It's big.
Loads of space.
It drives well. It feels well put together.
It's as quick as a Golf R almost.
Yeah.
As in to 60 anyway.
Yeah.
And that's the entry level. But it was the package that did it for me. The fact that we can go anywhere in Europe, and pandemic aside, we would have done.
Yeah.
I mean, every time we go to it down south for a car
always a car thing, yeah, down south.
You just put it where you're going to sat nav, and the rest is taken care of.
Yeah, which is what every other car needs to do.
No charger anxiety at all.
Fire and forget. Here's where I'm going. You just sort the rest out for me.
That alone is worth any premium on the car.
Yeah.
And that is why I wouldn't, if I had to replace it now. Again, it's like my brother with the ZS. What would I replace it with? And honestly,
well, what would you replace it with? Itself.
Well, if for whatever reason I had to replace it now, I'd go, right, well, the only reason I'm going to get something different is because I've already had one. Yeah. But then we'd do a journey, wouldn't we? And we'd have to rely on the charging network, which
wouldn't work for whatever reason.
Yeah, occasionally we couldn't go to Scotland as easily.
No.
And we'd go there quite a lot, right to the Highlands. Because we know, guaranteed, we can charge in the Tesla. We can probably charge in everything else, and it won't be.
And it's not about range, is it? It's about how quickly and how reliably you can recharge.
Yes. So unless you're in a Taycan with an Ionity member,
there's nothing.
There's not much around. Even then, there's hardly any Ionity points,
and it's so expensive.
Yes. So there's a couple out, EV6, Ioniq 5, that I'd want to test and see if I want. But I'd always be thinking, but then I'm going to go on a long journey, and then it's. Lorna will barely go on a long journey in Tesla. She certainly wouldn't in another one. No, it's on the public charging network as it is.
It has become as well. It's almost like the industry standard, isn't it? It's Tesla. It's the one that everyone's looking to beat, rightly or wrongly.
It's when the iPhone came out, like maybe the 4, when it just blitzed everything else.
And
then everyone's going, right, we're going to have to catch up here.
Yeah.
And people will catch up to it. There are cars that are almost as better. That are better than that.
Better cars.
Better cars, but not a better package. No. So it won't be forever. But yeah, I think it's worth what you pay for it.
I think so.
And its values are ridiculously strong.
Yeah.
So it's cheap to own ultimately.
Well, and also they can't. You got to think, haven't you? Every other car I see on the road at the moment is a Model 3.
Oh, God, they're everywhere.
It's, that says a lot.
Perfect company car.
Yeah. It is. If it was on a company car thing and I could tick it, I'd be ticking that
Absolutely.
over any other electrical car at that price.
And it will just work. Right.
Should we go DS3
DS3 Crosstown. So that's the last Stellantis Group clone, which is effectively the E2008.
So it's,
but with a posh interior. Not all of it, I should point out. Some of the sit in the rear seats and you think, this is a Citroen.
Yeah.
They
forgot to put some money back here.
Yeah, I mean, I get what they're trying to do because, again, I got to listen to the spiel, so there's a bit of that. But
it's a DS, isn't it? Let's make it a bit...
They're a separate brand. They have boutiques.
Can't afford a Range Rover.
Yeah.
Get a DS.
I quite like the fact that they said, they actively try and buy... I assume they're still doing it. They're actively trying to buy as many DSs on the used market as possible so they can make sure anyone that buys a used one has the same experience, everything's fine with it. There's
well, you
nothing
can
wrong
control
with...
second-hand prices then, can't you, as well?
Yeah, and you can make sure everyone that buys one doesn't get a lemon.
Yeah.
To a level. I mean, you're not going to get them all. But I quite like the fact that basically they're saying you get better materials, although in the DS3, debatable, better materials, more designer, I guess.
Yeah.
But the experience of the dealerships will be a step up, and that's a bit where your money's going.
Yeah.
I just personally don't see the value in the several £1,000s extra you'd have to pay over the 2008. So for that reason, I mean, I don't like the look of it, to be honest.
No, I think if you're getting an SUV that look like either of those two, I think it's like you're not...
I'd get the Mocha over that because it's about £5 cheaper.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing.
Yeah.
And that's what I said to who I didn't realise was the head of DS.
Did you?
Yeah. He said, so what did you think then? Guy in a suit. He didn't look like he owned the company, but he was not owned it, but he was the head of DS. I said, to be honest, I was expecting something a bit more special. And he went, oh, what do you mean? He says, well, why can't they just put a bigger motor or a bigger battery in that car? So when someone in a 2008 pulls up next to me, I don't look over and see that he's got better range than I have because I'm heavier.
Yeah.
Then there's a reason to get the DS. Or that it's quicker.
Yeah, it's quicker.
It's the only one that gets that uprated motor. Or a
Yeah.
slightly better battery or something
same
different.
motor, just a different chip.
Yeah, and that's it. It's that USP again, isn't it?
Yeah.
There is no USP to that because the interior quality is subjective.
It's what's it like? Well, it's all right.
Yeah, I couldn't fault it, but I wouldn't.
It didn't feel like it didn't feel like a Mercedes.
It was not a high-end car.
No.
Now the DS7.
Yeah.
That feels. That's a plug-in hybrid, but it was that
Different
was
level.
luxury.
It'd have been nicer maybe if they could have put just a bit of that into that.
Yeah. So if that had 200 brake instead of 150 that all the others have, there's a reason for the expensive.
I
price
was going to say
bracket.
you have to make it sporty though, don't you? I don't know.
Well, something.
200 isn't that much, is it? But you need something, don't you?
Yeah, it's literally a clone.
So what am I paying? What am I getting extra for this? We get a bit of extra weight.
It's a 2008 in a party frock.
Yeah, a bad party frock.
Yeah, and some people, I guess, like it, and some people just think it's ugly. So for me,
Again, the Mocha.
Yeah,
If you want some,
2008, then Mocha.
Or an MG. Have a look at
Yeah, but out of the Stellantis Group clones, that for me is the bottom of the pile.
Do we dare do the next? Do we just brush over this, or do we want to delve into the
Mustang Mach-E? Well, I've been told even though that I was the only person on YouTube that was flown out from the UK to Los Angeles to meet Bill Ford and see the launch of this. I'm on the list still of one to get. So we will end up with it, and I have been in them, and I've talked to the people that have physically designed it and spent a year of their life designing it. I can tell you everything about it, and I really did like it. So I think because of that specialness, and it does have a nice look to it, doesn't it? It's not a Mustang, but it is. I like it.
I do like it. I just want to drive
It's different to an SUV.
Yeah.
It's about as close as a good-looking SUV you're going to get, at least from the front.
I would want to know if Ford still have their rattle warranty, of trim warranty of 1 year.
Yep.
So I'm guessing it's either fallen off by then and stopped rattling, or you've gone deaf with the rattle. It'd be interesting to know what the warranty is on that. Ford warranties I've owned two Fords, one from new and one from a year-ish old, and they've both suffered with interior rattles.
Yeah.
And not put together brilliantly. It's a Friday afternoon car.
I don't think that I'll have that problem purely because it starts at $40,000 list.
You would hope so.
And you know what I liked about it? It started off as a concept.
Yeah,
I guess this is the benefit of going with these Spiel guys. And so they had a small team of designers because it was just going to be a concept. And then about a month or two in, when they had like skate, this is what we think.
Yeah.
Ford basically turned up and went, "We're going to make this." They obviously saw the way the wind was blowing.
Hang on a minute, we've got no EVs.
Yep. So they said, "Right, we're going to make this."
Yeah.
And
make it happen.
Very uniquely for Ford, which is usually a committee-designed car, it was designed by a small in-house team.
Yeah.
And they
Those
were
are
all
usually the best things.
exactly the Golf GTI, all that sort of stuff.
Audi S1.
All that. And that's what I liked about it. And all of them, including the guy that ran the whole project, and pretty much every head of each department was Mustang fanatics, to the point where the guy that was in charge of the whole thing, you could ask him questions. He proposed to his wife, who was also a Mustang fanatic, in a Mustang. He'd owned 38.
Wow.
Not concurrently. Yeah. And every one of them said, I've had Mustangs all my life. You could see the passion in what they were creating.
In their blood.
And that is what I quite liked about it. I felt like there was a bit of soul behind it.
But what a brave move as well. Calling it a Mustang.
Well, I can tell you why, by my good friend Bill Ford.
Ah.
He said, because that was the biggest thing on it. The purists hated the fact it was called Mustang. He said, because we had to make a statement. If we're going to do an electric car and call it a Mustang, we have to get it right.
Yeah, otherwise you're going to get such a
absolute kicking from the purists.
It could have been the end of Ford. As stateside.
And someone said, the first question, when I said, right, does anybody want to ask Mr. Bill Ford? We were all around the table. Does anyone want to ask him a question? Someone said, how are you feeling? They asked him how he was feeling. And he went, I'm really nervous.
Did they?
Well, because it was, like you say, it's not a make or break. No, but that could have fallen so flat on his face.
Well, if you say it's not a make or break in terms of company, but it could have. If it fell on its arse, stocks and share prices would have plummeted. It would have been a massive hit for financial hit for Ford.
And another reason, which I found quite interesting, they called it a Mustang. Apparently, to launch a new car, as in a name, $100 million. Dollars minimum.
And they have to think of a really shit name for it.
But it's quite a thing. That's why they brought back the Puma.
Yeah,
because people think, I've got a Puma. Oh, that's a Ford.
Yeah.
They have to instill a name into people's head that's a Ford. So rather than spend $200 million on marketing just to say, this new car is a... You remember when the Mondeo came out? Yeah, that's why they bring them back, because the people automatically know the brand.
Oh, I know what that is. Yeah.
Exactly.
I remember that.
So it makes sense, but the main thing that stuck with me was the fact that it was designed... It was almost like the GTI.
Yeah.
Or they did this in their own time because they were nutters.
Passionate about it,
And they were passionate.
Came in on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah. And...
got divorced.
Yeah, so ultimately, I think that was on my list. That on the Model 3 when we ordered it, but you couldn't order one at the time. So
yeah.
And who knows? I do think it is as good as I think it is, but time will tell. Next, the EQC.
Are we going to do...
Oh, sorry. The LEVC taxi.
Go on then. What was it like?
Enjoyed that. So much fun. It basically, the London Black Cab taxi.
Yeah.
The electric version of that. I've never driven one before. But yeah.
Bit of a laugh.
Well, the turning circle was so comically tight, it beat the Honda E.
Really? Literally, the wheels went sideways.
But yeah, I think that was just great fun. I don't think anyone's going to buy it given the list price, but as a taxi, apparently it makes financial sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's that. EQC, which...
Nice car.
That was Mark 1 Mercedes, complete and utter compromise because it was in a petrol car made into an electric one. Phenomenal Mercedes build quality and interior. Yeah. But massive transmission tunnel taking up loads of space.
What you don't need.
A huge bonnet that had nothing in it, really.
Yeah.
So all the EQA and the EQ... Is it the EQS?
The new
ones. They were phenomenally good.
Yeah. Expensive.
That was Mark 1.
We saw the EQA, didn't we, on the way down to Fully Charged? And we looked at the list price of that, and I think it was 50?
40.
Is it 40?
40 upwards.
40 upwards. Wow.
And that's like a compact SUV. It's not a big car. But it is a Mercedes.
Oh, it is, yeah.
But the EQS is meant to be phenomenally efficient.
Wow.
Like close to 400 miles real wheel range. Don't get me wrong, it's expensive and that, but that's what. So the EQC for me was the Beta Mercedes.
Yeah. I've not driven one. We saw one at Goodwood.
Yeah.
And it felt...
It was beautiful.
Yeah. Compared to other EVs at the time, especially the Teslas, it's like looking at it and you go, wow.
But it is just another SUV.
It is, yeah. They can do a nice interior in an EV.
And they've got the engineering prowess, which is now coming out, with the EQAs and the EQS and the EQB as well.
Well, they invented the modern car, didn't they?
Yeah, pretty much. I guess that leads us to another one that's very similar, the e-tron.
Yeah.
Which, again, people... It's a joke with us now, isn't it? People think we hate it. Well, yeah, because e-tron, same spelling in French, means the turd.
Yeah.
In fact, we'll come to that with the car in a second.
I think the e-tron is growing on me.
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
Because the NHS are peddling them out.
Yeah. I don't think it's... I think the more I see it, the more I think it's all right. I don't know about pricing.
It's a big SUV. Again, like the Mercedes, the interior quality was superb.
I bumped into somebody at the weekend who owned one and asked him what it was like. He said, it's brilliant. Love it.
Quick as well.
And what he said is that the charging as well charges at an optimum rate until about 90%.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I do like that Audi have done with that and carried on, again, this is the engineering, is that they've got a much larger buffer at the top and the bottom of the battery.
So it can charge the in-between bit faster.
Yeah, and it also means that they can suffer a lot more degradation before it even
affects the
starts to hurt the usable range. So because it will lose the buffer before it starts to. So there are other long-term benefits.
Battery RAID.
yeah, I guess. Yeah, like a RAID 5 battery. I just thought it's like, well, let's face it, you could put the entire SUV Audi range in a car park and you'd have to look at the back to see which version is which. That's what annoys me about it. It's boring.
Well, I think that's...
But that's what people like. I'm not saying, I just don't personally like it. And it's an SUV again.
The thing is, I think it's a lot with Audi and with Volkswagen at the moment, is you could put the entire range, like, the entire Golf range side by side, and none of them would excite you.
No.
Volkswagen, Audi, maybe the RS models, but those aside, I can't tell one from the other. I'm going, well, what's the difference between that one and that one?
And then they have 7 different trim levels for each model.
Yeah.
and they brought out the fact...
A Q2?
There's a Sportback e-tron.
Yeah.
Which from the middle pillar onwards is identical. Yeah. It's just coupéed the back. And it's what? 10 grand? It's more expensive by a fair bit. All for making the back less practical.
Less practical, yeah.
Although it has got a few technical tweaks to it.
Has it?
Which makes it more efficient.
Yeah. So if somebody went to me, I do like the e-tron, but I just don't want to put people in the back.
Why are you getting a people carrier?
Yeah. I'll tell you what then, why don't we just make it so impractical that you wouldn't want to put anyone on your back? Brilliant. And do I pay any extra for this? 10 grand? Yeah, I'll have it.
We take stuff off and charge you for it. It's the GT3.
It is, yeah. They'll be doing those little, taking the door handles off and just putting those loops of fabric on to close the door.
So, but yeah, I mean, the thing that highlighted for me on why it wasn't quite what it should have been is the fact from launch, bear in mind, a couple of years more now, 10 grand discounts.
Yeah.
A £10,000 discount on a brand new car.
VAT group again.
Yeah, I guess.
I think what they're doing is that they're edging the bets going, tell you what, we'll see if we can get this for it. It's like auction.
Yeah.
See if we can get this for it.
Yeah.
Well, drop it. Now they're biting.
Like a reverse auction.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I think it's just really cool. I mean, I couldn't fault it as a car other than the fact it's not exciting in any way, just like all the other Audi SUVs out there.
I think it's bizarre, isn't it? There must be, it's a generation or maybe a large percentage of people that just don't want an exciting car.
I think it is a car fan. We like cars.
Why wouldn't you want excitement though when you...
spending £60,000 to £100,000 on something.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, isn't it? If you're spending all that...
Someone goes, do you want this grey thing here? Oh, do you want the glary thing that's got lights and fire? I'll have the glary thing that's got lights and fire. I think people view car, like I think of Lorna, she views a car as a practical tool, yeah.
We view it as, it's the second most expensive thing we own after a house.
Yeah.
I want it to be, if I'm spending £60,000 to £100,000 on a car, I don't want it to be an SUV that looks like every other SUV with an Audi badge.
I mean, the thing is, I'm 41 now. I get very little joy out of anything in life. I think get a little bit of joy out of driving.
Is this what's called midlife crisis?
Yeah, get a little bit of joy out of driving. I think it's...
Well, let's move on to the car, which I would probably go instead of this, because it excites me more.
Me too.
It's a bit quicker, it looks better, not quite the build quality in terms of reliability, but it's the Jaguar I-Pace.
I think a fantastic car.
Yep.
It would... Again, it'll be on my list somewhere in a second-hand purchase.
I've heard do depreciate a fair bit.
Yeah, I've heard, I may be wrong, but I've heard reliability issues with the I-Pace.
Yes. Although Jaguars in general.
Yeah, I've had massive problems with, and Jaguar Land Rover.
So I wouldn't have one out of warranty yet. But as a car, it was fast. I felt like I was in a Jaguar.
And it's not badly priced, considering it's a Jaguar. You look at it sits bang in the middle of the Jaguar range in terms of what you can pay for one.
And it's a ground-up EV. Which
Brave move.
Yeah, exactly. If Jaguar can do it with their 5p research budget, there's no excuse for anyone else.
No.
So yeah, I really like that, and I think it looks nicer because it's just got a bit of personality to it.
Yeah.
It's still an SUV, but a better one, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, if I was spending 60, 70, 80,000 pounds on a car, it would never be an SUV, no matter how good it is.
No, if I wanted an SUV, I'd be looking at 25 to 35.
Or up to 40.
Yeah, if I'm wanting something that's going to be a luxury vehicle, I'll buy a luxury vehicle.
Yeah, it didn't quite fit, does it?
No.
Okay.
We've done that.
We've done the Kia Niro.
We've done that. We've done
the Kona, which is basically a sibling of the e-Niro. But with basically, it's an e-Niro with a slightly smaller boot and rear bench.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's basically the same car. Same car,
right.
They do
they do a small battery.
A 38 or 39 kilowatt hour battery in both now. So you can get the smaller and bigger battery version. When they launched it, you could only get the bigger version in the UK. Yeah. So you can get both. So you can get a cheaper e-Niro that's got a smaller battery as well. But the Kona does have one slight flaw.
What's that?
If you take it in Europe. In Kona, Kona, in Portugal...
As it means woman's lady parts.
It rhymes with shunt.
And hunt.
Yes, and it literally means that in Portuguese.
Wow, I want to take one to Portugal.
It's clearly not called that in Portugal.
No, but I think we should take that to Portugal and see what people think of it.
And do you know what Kona means in Norway?
No.
The wife. Norwegian.
I'm going to get home and thrash my corner around.
Which one's he talking about?
Yeah.
So, I really like that. It's a bit cheaper, I think, than the e-Niro.
I think it's a little bit into it for me.
So I think basically, if you needed... I don't know, the trouble with Kona is that if you want the family thing, the e-Niro's better.
Compromised.
The e-Niro's a better family car, so you think, well, maybe not everybody needs a family car. All right, then if I'm going to get a slightly smaller version of the e-Niro, I'll get the Soul.
Yeah.
Because this is bonkers, and
for me, it'd be either the e-Niro or the Soul.
Yeah, but if you do have a Kona, again, same sort of range as phenomenally efficient. I just think the e-Niro is more practical and the Soul is more fun.
Yeah.
So that sits in between them both, and it doesn't really go anywhere. Right, yes, the car we took around the North Coast 500 in under 24 hours.
We did.
Completed in, I think, 16 and a half hours.
I believe that's a world record.
You know what? It could
Probably
be.
isn't an EV.
It could be, couldn't it?
Yeah. Not that we
weren't racing either.
No.
We couldn't because we needed to be efficient. The video is in the channel if anybody's interested. But yes, the BMW i3.
Yeah, I liked it. I think, again, a city car. I liked how quick it was off the line.
Ballistically quick.
I didn't like how it felt like I was going to die when I hit a corner.
Well, that's why, and this is something I guess we need to put some effort into trying to find, because an i3S, it's got a wider track and tyres. And that's not just a minor tweak, is it? A wider track.
I bet.
And a bit of a body kit as well.
I bet I know one we could borrow, but it would mean a trip to Cornwall.
Oh, well, what car we're going to... Well, when we get a press car, we'll go to Cornwall.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Well, this is how we figured out how to do videos, folks.
Yeah.
Where do you want to go?
Where do you want to go? Because I know somebody on YouTube who has an i3S.
And everyone on YouTube knows everyone else.
Well, we have to make a bit of advertising for this person, I'm sure it'll be fine.
But no, I think I have seriously considered if we got rid of our Mini.
You have. You've even...
With the i3S, because it's the only electric vehicle for me that looks like a hot hatch.
Yeah.
Because we haven't driven one, I don't know if it'd be as fun. It's clearly going to be as quick.
It's just that cornering, isn't it? If it corners, well, for as long as it doesn't corner anything like an i3,
But there is a pack for it as well, isn't there, that comes with an even slightly lower and slightly wider track and bumpers. I've forgotten the name of it now.
Well, the place I'm thinking that have one of these do BMW performance and mini performance stuff.
Yeah, and I know someone taken an i3S and lowered it a bit more and changed the suspension a bit, and it makes all the difference. Yes, that's them.
Yeah, I don't think we'll mention it just yet. But,
but I mean, that's modifying a car, so it's a different kettle of fish, I guess. The only trouble is that the cheapest i3S is just shy of 20 grand at the moment, and that's a used one, of course. So I think that's 3-4 year old. That's the 94 amp hour version with the range extender. So you're looking at what was it, about 90 odd miles, I think, 110 miles with the range extender. So it's more than enough, especially as it would be a second car. Yeah. But I just don't know if it's quite a replacement in fun terms, because the Mini does like 2,000-3,000 miles a year. Yeah. It needs to be fun, I'm not sure if that fits the bill quite.
You'd need to drive one. I think that the electric Mini would probably be more fun than the i3S.
But then I'm replacing a Mini with a Mini, and I'm thinking, well, I've spent all that money on basically the same car and just made it electric.
I think what you've done then is you talked yourself into keeping your Mini for another year.
Well, that's it. It's all down to this. I say this with football managers. It's not a case of should we sack him or not. Who do you replace him with that's better? And it's the same thing, isn't it? Like, how many times would you say, well, I'm going to sell my car and replace it with, oh, actually, that still fits the bill the best.
Well, the thing is, now you look at as well, especially with second-hand car prices going up like they have done, you're going, oh, brilliant, my car's worth 2 or 3 grand more now, but so is everything else.
It's cheaper to buy a new car.
I think the thing is as well, once you're into the rhythm of owning a car, you know what's coming up. You know your brakes are all right. You know that he's got some, the servicing costs. I think you just stick with your Mini. But I think an i3S definitely needs, and if we do go down south, I think we get in touch with them and maybe do a video. They'd be happily lend us one. I'd
love to see if it is as good as we hope it is.
Yeah.
Because it was so skittish around corner. Then it was the Eco tyres didn't help, and it's quite a tall beast.
It dipped, didn't it? You got into a corner and the suspension, it wobbled from side to side.
It wasn't dangerous. It wasn't going anywhere, but it felt like it was.
Yeah. It felt like the back end was going to go.
And you didn't feel like you could... It was no Mini, put it that way. And I know it wasn't quite designed for it, the original i3.
No.
But why give it such a performance?
This is it, isn't it? It's a bit of an odd thing to put together with a chassis that was suspension set which was just so soft with such thin tyres.
But for a car that's been out 8-9 years,
I'd have one.
It still looks good.
Yeah, if the price was right, as my first foot in the water of an EV, I think second hand one of them. It's a BMW. The build quality is nice.
Yep. Yeah,
can't complain really. It might not be good round corners, but
interior's
might be able to sort that out.
Cool enough to get away with it.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
and it's quite spacious as well.
It is for the size of it. Yeah. I'm pretty sure that you could put different tyres on it, different wheels on it even, and maybe even sort the suspension out if it was something like that.
But then I'd just go for the i3S. I might as well spend the money on that instead.
Exactly.
I think give it another year when i3S is a year older, that much cheaper, maybe. Because like I said, they might have gone up.
Yeah.
So
with the price of oil and gas going up,
everything
else might be going up as well.
Well, they've announced today, BP, that they're having to shut some forecourts due to delivery issues.
Yeah.
Oh, my delivery method is called the National Grid.
Yeah.
For once, we can be smug about refuelling.
You can.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, the electric. Ha ha. So anyway, shall we wrap this up, because we've been going for nearly an hour and a quarter.
There's one car we haven't done.
Oh.
One that's just gone. Twizy.
Oh, the Twizy.
Gone but not forgotten. Well, you nearly forgot it, honestly. But I think, would you own a Twizy? Well, you did.
I did. And then I sold it and made £1,000 on the price.
Wow.
Even if you knock off everything I spent on it, on windows and insurance and everything, I'm £500 better off than I was before I bought it. So I've basically been paid £500 to drive a Twizy for 6 months. Now, what you've done there
is you've given yourself a gold card to buy any car you want next, because the wife's going to think it's going to go up in value.
So buy the right one, why not?
Yeah.
Well, we'll find out on Sunday. Sorry. I think the Twizy is one of those things that everyone has to at least drive once in their life, because then you'll have the biggest smile on your face you've ever had. Yeah. Everyone will be looking at you as if you were driving the most exotic Ferrari in a good way. And it's just fun.
I think it should be available on prescription.
We spent 24 hours in one.
We did, yeah. Yeah.
Video will be coming out in the channel in the next month or so.
Yeah, we did. And it wasn't, it was hard work at times. But
for charity, of course.
It wasn't as difficult as I thought it were going to be.
It's surprisingly spacious when you're in the seat. It's just getting in and out of it's the hard
thing. Yeah. Without getting out of the car.
So no, it's just it's so ridiculous. It's great.
Yeah. Well, I had it for a week when my Mini broke down.
That was your car.
And I got more people. Honestly, I went to a supermarket, and before I got in the supermarket, 3 people came up to me. And it was just like, there's a woman and a kid, and he wanted to have a look at it, and said, you can sit in it. And then there was a young Asian guy who dead into his cars, and a taxi driver. Where can I get one of these from?
That's what I mean. It appeals to everyone.
Yeah.
Every walk of life, every type of...
Whether you're young or old, or not in the cars.
Well, that's what I mean, yeah.
Someone drives for a profession. Where can I get one of these from?
Yep. And I think that's it, isn't it? It crosses boundaries.
Well, I took it to a school, and the head teacher made me put it in the playground and got all the kids in the school to come out and look at it. So this is going to be the future of transport.
I should have rented it out.
A quid. I said £1 a ride. I'd have come back with 700 quid.
Do you know what we should have done? We should have maybe, if it's, like them... little fairs that come to villages and they do like a fundraising thing, and you might sometimes you have a horse and carriage and
Twizzy
Twizzy ride.
Yeah, I took the kids on the road.
Yes,
I took them round
by one. Yeah.
No, like the Pied Piper.
Yeah. With their parents' permission,
of course. Yeah.
So, well, yeah, that's the Twizzy. She's gone.
But I think it's...
But you know what? I'll just buy another one and then get my money back later if I want.
Well, I think it's one of them. It's one of those cars that you've owned.
Yes.
You know, there's a couple that I've had for 6 months.
It's the EV's Alpha.
Yeah. It is, yeah. You've done it.
Yeah. Tick the box.
I've owned it. I've experienced it. I've driven it. That's something. Ownership of a vehicle's nice, even if it's a short time.
Yes, because it's. Well, I suppose like you say, it's a tick box. I won't say it's a bucket list thing, but it's it is something which ultimately didn't cost anything to do.
No.
So all we needed to do is put the money out of the bank onto the drive for 6 months, and then we earned £500 interest on it.
Which might be what's going to happen with on Sunday.
Oh, maybe, but that's for a different non-EV related thing, I suppose.
Yeah.
In fact, it won't be Sunday. It's in a couple of weeks before I can even think about buying it.
Anyway, moving along fastly.
And should we
wrap that up?
An hour and 15 minutes we've been doing this garbage,
which was meant to be 45 minutes long.
We're going to be doing 2 podcasts today. What time is it?
It's 8:10 at night.
Oh my God. Alex will be going to bed soon.
Wow.
Well, she won't be because, she's 11 tomorrow.
11? That's bonkers.
And I bet you can remember the day she was born as much as I can.
Yeah.
11 years. I'm going to have to get her on the podcast there.
I think that's got to be a podcast, doesn't it?
Even if it's an extra.
Yeah.
So, I'd love to say, let me know, guys, if you're listening, if you want EVK on it, but there's no comment section in the podcast.
That's a difficult thing, isn't it?
Go on the channel and say it in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Maybe, and we need some sort of podcast. I don't know, how do people answer back on these things?
I mean, we could put a forum on the website.
I'll just get him to fill in
email,
We'll do something. Anyway.
Write your local MP.
Yeah, there you go. We're done. That's many, many EVs. Not every single one. There's quite a few that I would love to go over, and maybe we'll do in the future.
Yeah.
So that's it. We'll sign off, and I think... I've got to do the spiel, haven't I? ev-man.co.uk gives you a list to all the podcasts, all the car reviews we've been mentioning on the website, directly to the channel. And, of course, if you want to become a member for 99p, you got to hear this a week early.
You did?
Or maybe a week and a half, because I keep on forgetting to upload it.
What else can you get from 99p nowadays?
Can you even get a 99p code?
No, I think you can.
Like penny sweets, they don't exist any longer.
No, I don't think you can.
Well, last time I went to an ice cream van, it was about £4.50.
Yeah, and it was I spent 99.
So there you go, 99p. What a bargain. Okay, and I think, as always, we need to end with the last word uttered by Mr. Harry. I won't say your surname just in case I want to stalk you online. So what's the last word of the podcast, Harry?
I'm going to go for earwigs.